Ancient skeletons inside caves near the Uyuni salt flats in Bolivia. Another video by hiddenincatours.com. Our journey begins close to the Uyuni salt flats, and we're heading towards ancient cemeteries that we've heard are located in the foreground. As you can see, the vegetation here is very primitive and very dry area. So we go inside this first cave, and you can see there are some interesting artifacts inside of it, but no actual human remains. But then we're guided towards what looks like a house, and is in fact a ceremonial cemetery structure made out of ancient coral. So this was part of an inland sea, and prior to that it was part of the Pacific Ocean that got uplifted. And here are ancient human remains. Though generally referred to as the Aymara culture, which actually is represented by the population of the area to this very day, it's more likely that these remains are of the Uruchipaya people, dating back at least 1,000 years. And here is a preserved puma. So as we leave this cemetery, and again you see these amazing coral formations, we're about to head back out onto the flat areas and head towards the actual Uyuni salt flats. Uyuni being an Aymara word meaning pen of some kind. Not pen as in writing pen, but pen as in a penned-in area. That may be a mistranslation. So here we are on the largest salt flats on the planet, and our destination is right ahead of us. You see the hexagonal shapes in the salt surface, and this is an area where they're actually processing the salt. They build walls and even houses out of this salt material. The Uyuni salt flats are also where we find at least 50% of the world's lithium deposit, and the Bolivian government is beginning to exploit this in order to make batteries in the future. The Chinese wanted to do the actual work here, but the Bolivian government said, thanks very much, I think we can do this ourselves. You are now getting your first glimpse at Cerro Tanupa, or Volcano Tanupa, which in the Aymara language means the mountain of the creator, or the mountain of creation. It's a huge volcano rising above the salt flats at Uyuni, and it's here that we're going to explore another cave that supposedly has interesting human remains of antiquity and possibly elongated skulls. So here we are on a very rough dirt road in a four-wheel drive, heading up along or onto the flank of Cerro Tanupa. And these walls date back at least to Inca times, if not older. And now you see the great Uyuni salt flat in the background. So the sign is pointing to Chulpas Momias, which means ceremonial towers and or caves containing mummies, at least 1,000 years old, possibly of the Aymara culture or Aymara ancestors, or maybe the Uruchipaya people. So as we walk along this ancient path, again in the background, you can see that there are walls, again going back at least to the time of the Inca, or quite possibly even older, 1,000 or 2,000 years old, of the Aymara or Uruchipaya people. And this is the entrance to the tomb. You have to bend over in order to be able to get inside here. And that is the caretaker there. And of course there is Irene. And then this is our first mummy. With black hair. It's a complete skeleton. Has a somewhat elongated skull, as you can see. Nothing in comparison to the ancient Paracas people of the coast of Peru, but still an example of cranial deformation dating back at least 1,000, if not 2,000 years. This gate or this cave has to be locked at night because people for decades have been stealing these skeletons and probably selling them on the black market to people outside of the country. Again, here you can see that it is in fact an elongated skull with black hair. And here we have another complete mummy. And as we look back at Cerro Tanupa, and then forward to the salt flats, it's time to leave and continue this adventure. We're now at another village, located a few miles away from the cave we were just at. So we're entering through this quite modern enclosure, and we've been told that there is a mummy or two inside of a small cave in this immediate area. The man that runs this operation is an old Aymara man who has been collecting different stones that appear to be looking like different animals and birds, what are called simulacras. They're not carvings themselves, they are simply natural formations. And this is our first glimpse inside of the little cave. There you see a full mummy in the background, a somewhat elongated skull to the right or left side, and then here is another mummy with cranial deformation located in the other corner. And this gives you a better view of the skeleton and the elongated skull. So that's more or less it for today. Again, we're walking back through this rock garden of natural shapes of stone that appear to look like different animals. And a copy of one of the figures in stone found at Tiwanaku in Bolivia. And now heading back to the hotel on the long expanse of the Uyuni salt flats, the largest salt flats in the world. Again, you can see the hexagonal design in the surface of this natural formation. And this salt flat was created when Lake Titicaca, which used to be seawater, was 10 times the size that it is now.